The Global Economic Summit in New Tokyo erupted in chaos as holographic figures materialize simultaneously across every screen and display. World leaders froze mid-sentence, their carefully rehearsed speeches falling silent as translucent, crystalline beings flickered into existence, each one identical, yet somehow uniquely unsettling. Dr. Marcus Chen watched from the back of the conference hall, his weathered hands gripping a worn leather portfolio. Once a rising star in military strategic planning, he was now a pariah, his groundbreaking theories about adaptive intelligence deemed too radical by the establishment. The irony wasn't lost on him. The same minds that had dismissed him were now scrambling to understand the impossible transmission. Attention, inhabitants of Earth. The holographic entities spoke in perfect synchronization, their voices a harmonious blend that seemed to resonate directly within each listener's mind. You have been selected for the Galactic Concealment and Location Challenge. Participation is mandatory. A murmur rippled through the assembly. Mandatory. The word hung in the air like a threat. The transmission continued, revealing details that sent shockwaves through the international community. This was no ordinary competition. It was a test that had determined the fate of countless civilizations, a challenge so complex and dangerous that failure meant total cosmic isolation or worse. In her small research laboratory across the city, Area Chen, Marcus's estranged daughter, watched the broadcast with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Her recent dissertation on quantum psychological adaptation had been roundly rejected by her academic peers, her theories considered too wild, too unorthodox. Now, something in the alien transmission resonated with her deepest intuitions. Her communication device buzzed. It was her father, the first time he'd reached out in years. "Meet me at the old research facility." Now, the message was terse, typical of Marcus. When Area arrived, the abandoned complex hummed with an unexpected energy. Marcus was already there, surrounded by holographic projections of complex multidimensional landscapes that seemed to shift and breathe with an almost living quality. "They're giving us a chance," Marcus said without preamble, "but it's not really a choice." He explained the brutal history of the Concealment and Location Challenge. For millennia, advanced civilizations had participated in this ultimate test of strategic and perceptual capabilities. The last three species similar to humans had been completely erased, their cultural and genetic records wiped from existence, as if they had never existed. 3 attempts, Area whispered, studying the holographic data. 3 total eliminations. The challenge was deceptively simple in description, but impossibly complex in execution. Teams would be required to either perfectly conceal a critical target or locate a hidden objective across multidimensional landscapes that defied traditional understanding of space, perception, and reality. "We're not just competing," Marcus said, his eyes burning with an intensity Area remembered from her childhood. "We're fighting for humanity's right to exist in the cosmic arena." The transmission had come with a countdown. 18 days until the first trial. 18 days to prepare a strategy that could save or doom their entire species. "I have a theory," Area began, her mind already racing with possibilities. "What if we approach this not as a technological challenge, but as a psychological experiment?" Marcus raised an eyebrow, the first genuine sign of interest he'd shown in years. "Go on." She explained a concept she'd been developing, the uncertainty cascade, a method of concealment that didn't just hide a target, but made its very existence probabilistic. It was the kind of radical thinking that had gotten her research rejected, but now seemed like humanity's only hope. Outside the facility, the world was transforming. Military strategists, quantum physicists, psychologists, and game designers were being assembled into an unprecedented think tank. Humanity was mobilizing, but few understood the true stakes. "We're not just preparing for a competition," Marcus said quietly, watching the holographic landscapes shimmer and change. "We're fighting for our future." Area looked at her father, once a distant figure, now potentially their species' best hope. "Are you ready?" A ghost of a smile crossed Marcus's face. We don't have a choice. The United Nations Special Assembly looked more like a war room than a diplomatic chamber. Holographic displays flickered with alien schematics, while representatives from every corner of the globe sat in tense silence. At the center of it all stood Dr. Marcus Chen and his daughter Aria, their presence both a beacon of hope and a source of collective anxiety. A massive three-dimensional projection materialized. The Galactic Arbiter's comprehensive breakdown of the concealment and location challenge. It was far more than a simple competition. It was a crucible that had determined the rise and fall of civilizations for countless millennia. The rules are not what you might expect, Aria began, her voice steady despite the weight of their situation. She manipulated the holographic display, revealing intricate layers of dimensional complexity that made traditional understanding of space seem like child's play. The challenge's fundamental premise was deceptively simple. Teams would be tasked with either perfectly concealing a critical target or locating a hidden objective. But the implementation was anything but simple. The battlefield wasn't a physical space, but a multi-dimensional landscape that shifted based on perception, intention, and quantum uncertainty. Marcus stepped forward, his military background evident in his precise movements. This isn't just about technology, he explained to the stunned representatives. It's about understanding the very nature of perception itself. Historical records began to play, grim documentation of previous participants. The Zarkol civilization, masters of detection technologies who had dominated previous challenges. The quantum collective of Renthar, who developed camouflage techniques so advanced they could theoretically hide entire star systems. And then the dark entries, the three human-adjacent species that had been completely erased from cosmic memory. Completely erased, Aria emphasized, not just defeated. Removed from existence, as if they never happened. The room grew impossibly quiet. The challenge operated on principles that defied conventional logic. Targets could be hidden, not just in physical space, but in probability waves, quantum states, and even within the perceptual blind spots of the detecting species. Success wasn't about finding or hiding something. It was about fundamentally challenging the very concept of detection. We have 18 days, Marcus continued, to develop a strategy that can compete with civilizations that have been preparing for this challenge for millennia. Aria's breakthrough came from an unexpected direction. While other teams would focus on advanced technological solutions, she proposed something radical. We're going to intentionally make mistakes, she declared, pulling up a complex simulation. The room erupted in confused murmurs. She explained her uncertainty cascade theory. By introducing deliberate imperfections, by creating a strategy that seemed almost chaotic, they could create a form of camouflage more effective than any perfect concealment. Think of children playing hide and seek, Aria said. The best hiding isn't about being perfectly invisible. It's about understanding the psychology of searching. Marcus watched his daughter with a mixture of pride and apprehension. Her theory was brilliant and completely insane. The Galactic Arbiter's transmission had made one thing brutally clear. This was not a competition they could approach with traditional human thinking. Every advanced civilization had tried technological superiority. Every one of them had failed in some fundamental way. Military strategists, quantum physicists, psychologists, and even professional game designers were being assembled into an unprecedented think tank. But at its core, the team would be built around Marcus and Aria, a father and daughter whose complicated relationship might be humanity's greatest weapon. We're not just hiding a target, Marcus said, his voice low and intense. We're challenging the entire concept of detection. The first phase of the challenge would pit them against the Zarkol, a species renowned for detection capabilities so advanced they could theoretically track a single electron across multiple dimensional states. They were considered unbeatable, the ultimate masters of finding what was hidden. Humanity's strategy would turn that mastery against them. As the meeting concluded, the weight of their mission settled over the room. They weren't just competing. They were fighting for humanity's very right to exist in the cosmic arena. Aria looked at her father, a spark of something between challenge and collaboration in her eyes, ready to break some rules. Marcus allowed himself the smallest of smiles. We don't have a choice. The abandoned military research complex became a crucible of human potential. Converted hangars stretched for kilometers, filled with the most eclectic team ever assembled. Quantum physicists worked alongside child psychologists. Game designers collaborated with military strategists. At the center of it all, Dr. Marcus Chen and his daughter Aria became the unlikely architects of humanity's survival. We're not preparing for a competition, Marcus would tell the team during briefings. We're rewriting the fundamental understanding of perception itself. Aria's uncertainty cascade theory transformed the entire approach. Traditional concealment relied on perfect invisibility. Her method embraced controlled imperfection. They studied everything from quantum mechanics to children's playground games, looking for patterns of unpredictability that could confound even the most advanced detection systems. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a renowned child development psychologist, became crucial to their strategy. Children are the ultimate masters of hide and seek, she explained during one intense planning session. They don't think like adults. They create hiding strategies that are fundamentally illogical and therefore impossible to predict. The team began constructing multi-layered simulation environments. Each test became a psychological battlefield, where the act of hiding was as important as the hidden target itself. They developed algorithms that intentionally introduced seemingly random variations, creating detection scenarios that would drive logical systems mad. Marcus watched his daughter work with a mixture of pride and concern. Aria's mind moved like lightning, connecting concepts that seemed utterly unrelated. She'd spend hours constructing elaborate scenarios, then destroy them just as quickly, always searching for that perfect moment of uncertainty. We're not trying to be invisible, she would explain. We're trying to be so complex that the very act of searching becomes impossible. The Zarkol, their first opponents, were legendary. Their detection technologies could theoretically track a single subatomic particle across multiple dimensional states. Every previous civilization had tried to match their technological superiority and failed spectacularly. Humanity would do something different. Their strategy began to take shape, a concealment method that wasn't about hiding, but about creating a psychological maze so complex that detection became meaningless. They developed what they called fractal misdirection, layers of intentional reveals and concealments that would make traditional detection algorithms collapse. Military veterans worked alongside quantum computing experts. Professional magicians collaborated with cognitive scientists. The team became a living, breathing organism of human creativity. One breakthrough came from an unexpected source. George Ramirez, a street magician turned cognitive researcher, introduced a concept of perceptual sleight of hand. It wasn't about hiding something completely, but about making its detection so mentally taxing that observers would unconsciously look away. The best hiding, he told the team, isn't about being invisible. It's about being too complicated to comprehend. As the first trial approached, tension mounted. Global media speculated wildly. Some believed humanity was facing certain destruction. Others saw this as the ultimate test of human potential. Marcus and Aria worked in perfect synchronization, their previously fractured relationship healing through the intensity of their shared mission. They were no longer just a father and daughter. They were the architects of humanity's cosmic strategy. The final week of preparation became a pressure cooker of innovation. Sleep was optional. Breakthroughs happened at 3 a.m., fueled by coffee and an almost supernatural determination. We're not just competing, Aria would say during late-night strategy sessions. We're proving what it means to be human. Their final simulation broke every known rule of detection and concealment. When the results came in, even the most skeptical team members realized they had created something unprecedented. Not a perfect hiding technique, but something far more powerful. A method of concealment that was alive, adaptive, and fundamentally unpredictable. The Zarkol wouldn't know what hit them. As the countdown to the first trial began, Marcus looked at his daughter. "Are you ready to show the universe what humans can do?" Aria's smile was equal parts confidence and challenge. "We were born ready." The moment arrived with a silence more deafening than any explosion. Humanity's team stood in a specially constructed observation chamber, a technological marvel that seemed to exist between reality and possibility. The Galactic Arbiters watched through multidimensional monitoring systems, their crystalline forms flickering with anticipation. The Zarkol representative, a being of pure energy contained within a complex biomechanical exoskeleton, radiated confidence. Their detection technologies were legendary, considered unbeatable by every civilization that had ever entered the challenge. Aria Chin's fingers danced across holographic interfaces, implementing the uncertainty cascade strategy they had developed. To the Zarkol and the Arbiters, their approach looked like chaos. Deliberate imperfections, intentional information leakage, patterns that seemed to make no sense. Target acquisition protocols initiated, announced the Zarkol's lead detector, its voice a mechanical precision that suggested absolute certainty. But nothing was certain. The hidden target, a quantum-encoded construct representing humanity's potential, began to shift, not in predictable ways, but in patterns that defied traditional understanding of concealment and detection. Where other civilizations would have used perfect cloaking technologies, the human team introduced what appeared to be mistakes, deliberate vulnerabilities, hints and half-reveals that seemed to invite detection, yet ultimately led to nothing. Marcus watched his daughter work, seeing the strategy they had developed unfold like a complex dance. Each movement was calculated, each seemingly random action part of a larger, incomprehensible design. The Zarkol's detection algorithms began to strain. Their systems, built on millions of years of technological refinement, started to buckle under the weight of human unpredictability. Anomalous detection patterns detected. The Zarkol's systems reported, confusion entering its previously emotionless tone. Aria had designed the strategy to be a psychological warfare as much as a technological challenge. The hidden target wasn't just concealed. It was embedded in a landscape of intentional misdirection. Every time the Zarkol thought they had found something, the target would seemingly both exist and not exist. Quantum uncertainty weaponized. Global networks watched the competition, though few could truly comprehend what was happening. To most observers, it looked like random technological noise. But to those who understood, it was a revolution in thinking. The Galactic Arbiters monitored everything, their multidimensional perception trying to make sense of humanity's approach. Never before had a species approached the challenge with such fundamental disregard for established detection methodologies. Hours passed. The Zarkol's confidence began to crack. "Impossible," their lead detector muttered, a hint of emotion breaking through its mechanical exterior. Detection protocols failing. Marcus leaned closer to Aria. "How are you doing this?" She smiled, her eyes reflecting a complex dance of probabilities. "We're not hiding. We're creating a reality where hiding is meaningless." The target existed in a state of perpetual possibility. Not hidden, not revealed, something entirely different. As the first phase concluded, the Zarkol representative looked defeated, a feeling entirely new to a species that had never known anything but technological superiority. The Galactic Arbiters communicated silently, their multidimensional forms flickering with what could only be described as surprise. Humanity had not just participated in the challenge. They had fundamentally changed its very nature. Phase 1 complete, Aria announced, her voice calm despite the revolutionary moment. "Shall we continue?" The universe held its breath. The aftermath of their first trial sent shockwaves through the cosmic community. Transmissions between alien civilizations crackled with unprecedented tension. Humanity had done more than perform well. They had fundamentally challenged the very understanding of the concealment and location challenge. The Galactic Arbiters convened in a multidimensional space that existed beyond traditional comprehension. Their crystalline forms pulse with complex discussions, analyzing every microscopic detail of humanity's unprecedented performance. Back on Earth, Dr. Aria Chen continued refining what she now called the probability cascade strategy. Her father, Marcus, worked alongside her, their previously fractured relationship forged into something stronger through the intensity of their shared mission. "We're not just hiding," Aria explained during a classified briefing. "We're creating a state of existence that's simultaneously hidden and revealed." The next phase of the challenge would be exponentially more complex. Where the first trial tested basic concealment and detection, this would push the boundaries of dimensional perception itself. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the child psychology expert, had become crucial to their strategy. Her research into children's play and cognitive development provided unexpected insights. "Children understand something adults forget," she would say. "Reality is more flexible than we believe." Their team had grown. Quantum physicists worked alongside magicians. Game theorists collaborated with neural network specialists. They were no longer just preparing for a competition. They were rewriting the fundamental understanding of perception. The Zarkul, still reeling from their previous defeat, prepared for their next encounter with a mixture of technological precision and what could only be described as fear. No civilization had ever challenged their detection capabilities so completely. Aria's breakthrough came during a seemingly mundane moment. She was watching her nephew play a complex video game, observing how he navigated multiple layers of virtual reality. The solution wasn't about perfect hiding. It was about creating a space where hiding became meaningless. "We're going to make detection itself the camouflage," she told her father. Marcus understood immediately. Their strategy would turn the very act of searching into a form of concealment. Each attempt to detect would create new layers of uncertainty, making the target both more visible and more invisible simultaneously. Global political leaders watched with a mixture of hope and terror. Humanity's fate hung in the balance. Lose this challenge, and they would be erased from cosmic memory, as if they had never existed. The preparations intensified. Massive computing arrays worked through billions of potential scenarios every second. Psychological profiles were constructed and deconstructed. They were creating not just a strategy, but an entirely new way of understanding existence. "We're fighting for more than ourselves," Marcus would tell the team during late-night strategy sessions. "We're fighting for the right to be different, to think differently." As the next phase of the challenge approached, alien civilizations watched with increasing concern. Humanity was no longer just a participant. They were a potential threat to the established cosmic order. The Galactic Arbiter's communications became increasingly complex. They were dealing with a species that didn't just think outside the box. They refused to acknowledge the box's existence. Aria's final simulation broke every known rule of detection and concealment. Where traditional strategies sought to create perfect invisibility, her approach embraced chaos, uncertainty, and the fundamental unpredictability of perception. The universe held its breath, waiting to see what humanity would do next. The second phase of the challenge pushed reality to its breaking point. Alien observation platforms tracked humanity's approach with a mixture of fascination and growing terror. The Zarkul detection systems, once considered the pinnacle of technological achievement, now looked like primitive tools in the face of human unpredictability. Aria Chen stood at the center of a holographic command center, her movements creating ripples of probability that seemed to bend the very fabric of dimensional perception. Each gesture was a complex mathematical equation, each breath a strategic calculation that defied conventional understanding. "Detection is not about finding," she explained to her bewildered team. "It's about creating a landscape where finding becomes impossible." Their strategy evolved into something beyond concealment. They weren't hiding a target. They were transforming the entire concept of a target. Quantum entanglement became their playground, probability their weapon. George Ramirez, the former street magician turned cognitive researcher, had become crucial to their approach. "Magic isn't about hiding," he would say. "It's about redirecting attention. We're going to make the universe look away." The galactic arbiters watched in unprecedented confusion. Humanity was doing something no civilization had ever attempted. They weren't trying to win the challenge. They were rewriting its fundamental rules. Marcus Chen observed his daughter with a mixture of pride and wonder. The fractured relationship that had defined their past had been forged into something powerful, a shared mission that transcended personal history. Their target became a living concept, not a physical object, not a quantum signature, but a state of pure potential. Each attempt to detect it would change its very nature, creating a feedback loop of uncertainty that challenged the most advanced scanning technologies in the universe. Global networks struggled to comprehend what was happening. News networks showed incomprehensible displays of mathematical chaos. Quantum physicists around the world watched in awe as humanity turned detection into an art form of misdirection. The Zarkol's lead detector began to show signs of what could only be described as emotional breakdown. Their perfectly calibrated systems were being torn apart by an approach that defied every known law of perception and detection. "It's not possible," the Zarkol representative repeated, its mechanical voice developing an almost human quality of desperation. But it was possible, and humanity was proving it. Area's probability cascade strategy reached its full potential. They weren't hiding. They were existing in every possible state simultaneously. Each scan, each attempt to locate their target, would create new layers of complexity that made detection fundamentally impossible. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's research into child psychology proved crucial. Children, with their ability to believe in multiple realities simultaneously, had provided the key to breaking dimensional barriers. Their understanding of play, of imagination, became a weapon more powerful than any technological solution. As the second phase approached its conclusion, the cosmic community watched in stunned silence. Humanity was no longer just a participant in the challenge. They were rewriting the fundamental understanding of existence itself. Marcus looked at his daughter, seeing not just a brilliant scientist, but a revolutionary. "Are you ready to show them what humans can really do?" Aria's smile was both a challenge and a promise. "We were born ready." The universe held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The Galactic Council chamber vibrated with an energy that transcended physical space. Crystalline representatives from thousands of civilizations flickered in and out of multidimensional existence. Their collective consciousness focused on a single point of unprecedented drama. Humanity was changing everything. The challenge had become more than a competition. It was a fundamental reassessment of cosmic intelligence, with Earth at the epicenter of a revolution no one had anticipated. Aria Chen stood before the council, her presence both fragile and infinitely powerful. Behind her, a holographic representation of human history played, from prehistoric cave paintings to quantum computational networks. Each image was a testament to humanity's fundamental ability to transform, to adapt, to reimagine the impossible. "We are not seeking to win," she declared, her voice resonating across dimensional frequencies. "We are seeking to understand." The Zarkol representative, once the unquestioned masters of detection, now looked like a relic of an outdated paradigm. Their technologies, refined over millennia, had been systematically dismantled by human creativity. Political tensions erupted across the cosmic community. Some alien civilizations saw humanity as a threat, pushing for their immediate disqualification or worse. Others recognized something unprecedented. A species that didn't just participate in challenges, but fundamentally transformed them. Marcus Chen watched from a secondary chamber, his strategic mind parsing every micro-interaction, every subtle shift in the multidimensional dialogue. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's research became a cornerstone of their defense. Her studies on human cognitive flexibility, particularly in children, provided a framework for understanding humanity's approach. Where other civilizations saw rigid technological solutions, humans saw possibility. "Detection is not about technology," Aria explained to the bewildered council. "It's about perception, about the ability to exist in multiple states simultaneously." Their strategy had evolved beyond anything the challenge's creators had imagined. They weren't hiding a target. They were creating a state of existence that was simultaneously visible and invisible, present and absent. Global networks on Earth watched with a mixture of pride and terror. This was more than a competition. This was humanity's first true test on a cosmic stage. The Galactic Arbiters began internal discussions that challenged their own fundamental understanding of intelligence. Humanity had done more than perform well. They had rewritten the very rules of the game. George Ramirez, the former street magician, had become a key strategic advisor. "Magic is about making people see what you want them to see," he would say. "We're doing that on a cosmic scale." Alien civilizations that had existed for millions of years found themselves confronting a species that operated on fundamentally different principles. Technological superiority meant nothing in the face of human creativity. As the final stages of recognition approached, the stakes became clear. This was no longer just about winning a challenge. This was about humanity's place in the cosmic community. Marcus approached his daughter, their relationship transformed by the crucible of their shared mission. "Are you ready?" he asked. Aria's smile was both a challenge and a promise. "We were born ready." The universe held its collective breath, waiting to see what humanity would do next. The final phase of the challenge defied every known cosmic law. Humanity had become more than a participant. They were a force of transformation that threatened to rewrite the fundamental understanding of intelligence itself. The Galactic Arbiters convened in a space beyond traditional dimensionality, their crystalline forms pulsing with unprecedented uncertainty. What had begun as a simple competition had become a revolution. Aria Chen stood at the epicenter of a multidimensional battlefield that existed simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. Her probability cascade strategy had evolved into something that challenged the very concept of existence. "We are not hiding," she declared to the assembled cosmic intelligences. "We are demonstrating the power of potential." Their final strategy was a masterpiece of cognitive warfare, where other civilizations saw detection as a technological challenge. Humans transformed it into a psychological landscape. Each attempt to locate their target created new layers of complexity, new dimensions of uncertainty. Marcus Chen watched from a command center that existed in multiple states of reality. His daughter had done more than compete. She had redefined the very nature of the challenge. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's research on human cognitive flexibility became the theoretical backbone of their approach. Children's ability to exist in multiple imaginary states, to believe in simultaneous realities, became their most powerful weapon. The Zarkol, once considered unbeatable, now looked like technological relics. Their detection systems, built on millions of years of refinement, had been systematically dismantled by human creativity. George Ramirez, the former street magician turned strategic advisor, had become a key architect of their final approach. "Magic," he would say, "is about making the impossible seem not just possible, but inevitable." Global networks on Earth watched with a mixture of pride, terror, and incomprehension. This was humanity's moment of cosmic recognition. The target they were protecting, or perhaps creating, was no longer a physical object. It was a state of pure potential, a quantum signature that existed in every possible configuration simultaneously. Each scan, each attempt to detect, would transform its very nature. Alien civilizations that had existed for millions of years found themselves confronting a species that operated on principles they could barely comprehend. Technological superiority meant nothing in the face of human creativity. As the final moments approached, the stakes became clear. This was about more than winning a challenge. This was about humanity's place in the cosmic community. The Galactic Arbiters made their decision. Humanity was not just accepted. They were recognized as a fundamental force of cosmic intelligence. Marcus looked at his daughter, seeing not just a brilliant scientist, but a revolutionary who had transformed humanity's understanding of its own potential. "We did it," he whispered. Aria's smile was both a conclusion and a beginning. "No," she corrected him. We're just getting started. The universe expanded, shifted, transformed, forever changed by humanity's impossible victory. In that moment, everything was possible.